Hello Flosstube, and welcome to my channel. It is June 5th and I am here for my May wrap-up video, and then we will talk about June plans. At a glance, May was productive, but in a lot of ways May was a very difficult month for me. Alright, so let's just get to the summary of what my numbers were for May. So, and I wrote all these notes down last week. I have all my notes written down in my journal. I really thought that I was going to be able to record this at the end of May, but it didn't. I was not in a good space at the end of May, and then June has been very busy, and now the entire summer is going to be packed of schedules. My schedule's going to be packed this summer. So in May, I worked on 11 projects. One of those is a new start, and I put in 27,419 stitches. 15,000 of that was tent stitch, but still, that's still, even if I counted those as if I converted those into like the stitchy group I'm in, it still would be a record-breaking number of stitches for me for the month. So some of the goals that I had set for myself for May was 15 whips. I had drawn 15 whips to work on the 50 movies that we were supposed to watch in the month of May. I started, but I think I only got like 5 or 6 whips in before I just I got tired of changing it for each movie. I didn't diamond paint at all. I wanted to make project bags. I didn't get around to doing that. I mean, I did start cutting the fabric. I had bought all that fabric last time that I showed in my last video. I had purchased a bunch of fabric. There's the AC. Hopefully it's not too loud. I had bought a bunch of fabric that I showed in my last video. And before ruining any of that, I took some old fabric that I had no plans for. They were already cut to a yard, and I wanted to see how large of a project bag I could make out of a yard. And I know that width-wise is dependent on the size of my zipper. So they would be, I had cut the fabric to where they were the width that I needed, but then the excess so it made it a little bit longer. But I wanted to see how large of a bag I can make before I decided what size project bags to make with the new fabric. So I did spend one day cutting it up, but I never got around to ironing and sewing and stuff. So that just got put aside. I didn't diamond paint. I don't know if I said that already. I didn't get around to diamond painting at all. But I did start a video game. It wasn't the one that I thought I was going to be starting or playing. I keep saying starting. It was a restart for me. The game that I ended up picking is a game that I was playing a couple years ago. I had put in like 83 or 84 hours on this game, and I was like 60% of the way through it. But when I turned it on, I just was kind of lost, and I felt like it would be easier or more satisfying to just restart it. So I did go ahead and restart. That was Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. That's the one that was the last Lego Star Wars game, where it has all 9 movies. And if you didn't play it, because if you're somebody who didn't play that game because they had played the previous releases, because Legos put out games of all 9 of the movies basically twice. It's a different game. It's different. It's totally worth it to do it again. So, anyways, so I was making my way through those. I think I only did the first 3 movies, and that's the original 3, the ones from the 70s. The classic Star Wars movies. I did the first 3 of those, and I decided that while I was playing each movie, that I would also simultaneously play the movie or watch the movie on my tablet. So so I'd be playing the game while also the movie's playing right next to me. And usually I would finish the level maybe like 20 or 30 minutes before the movie would end, so I just would sit and finish watching it. I finish watching the movie, and then when it's over, start the next game. One of the reasons why I'm doing that is because the primary reason I put the game down in the past was because I was getting motion sickness. I don't usually get motion sickness from video games. The only other game that I felt like that was when I was playing the original or the first Uncharted game. I got really bad motion sickness to where my oldest ended up playing most of the game for me. He ended up playing most of the game, and I just watched him. And then I played the second one, and it still kind of gave me motion sickness, but I still got most of it done. And then I think on the third game I was able to play the whole thing without his help. So at the time I just figured it was because I hadn't played any video games in a while, and I just needed to get used to it. So so when I was playing the Lego Star Wars, there were certain areas or levels that I would get sick playing, and it wasn't getting any better. So I wanted to pace myself this time around, and just not rush it. So I spent a couple of days playing, and then I haven't played it since because of other things, but I do intend on continuing that. And in fact, I had to re-hook up the PS4 because that's how we have it, or how I have access to it is on the PS4. So, yeah, I re-hooked up the console just for the one game. I also, a couple things real quick before I get to the whips. I also listened to the first Vampire Academy book. I had mentioned before, I had read the books many years ago. I read the entire series, and I was interested in reading them. So I acquired them all through Audible, and I listened my way through the first book, and then I decided to watch the movie that was like 10 years ago that they made. I remember the movie not being good, but I wanted to watch it anyways, or rewatch it. And it wasn't as bad as I remember. It was pretty close to the book, if not, yeah, it was pretty close to the book. But I will eventually, I like listening to it when I'm walking. So if I have to walk to the doctor's or something, it's nice to be able to throw on the Audible, or yeah, an audio book. Another thing that I watched that was very comforting, satisfying. I don't know how to explain it. One day I'm somebody who needs to have the TV on 24/7 while I'm awake. When I wake up, I need something on the TV up until the time I go to bed. If there's nothing on the TV, I get really uncomfortable or anxious or whatever. I need something to be playing. Usually, it's a bunch of Flosstube, right? I was in the living room one weekend, and I was in the living room one weekend, and I wanted to put something on, but I needed it to be something that I've seen enough times that I could listen to it enough times, and it not something that I'd seen recently, right? Because I want to enjoy it, because it's been a while, but I also knew that the house was going to be noisy. It was a weekend, everybody was home. Anyways, I needed to put something on, and I was surprised at how good that this movie made me feel on that day, that I ended up binging the entire collection, we'll say. It was Jurassic Park. I watched the first movie, and then immediately I watched the second, and then the third, and then instead of going to Jurassic World, I actually went to Netflix and I rewatched the entire Camp Cretaceous. Sorry. I rewatched that whole series because I loved it. I am a fan of that series. Well, right after I did that, they released the new installment, which is a spin-off, because it's not, they're old, the kids are older, and it's Chaos Theory, I think is what it's called. So then after I watched that, I went to Jurassic World, and I watched the first two Jurassic Worlds, and then realized I don't have access to Dominion. I don't, unless we own it on Blu-ray or DVD, I don't like to dig through. Our movies that we own physically are not organized to my liking. They're just kind of shoved, and I don't feel like sorting through them. So I don't think that we own it physically. It's possible we do. All I know is we don't own a digital copy, and it's not on any streaming services that we have access to. I think the only streaming service that for me to watch it on is if I get Stars. And I could probably do Stars. I think I could do a free week of Stars with Amazon Prime. But the Amazon Prime is in my husband's name. And and you have to do a two-factor thing, and if that means I can't do it unless I have access to his phone. So it's just it's too confusing. It's too complicated. So I don't have access to the last Jurassic World movie yet. I'll probably just end up buying it this month or something, because I'm a completionist and I need to. It doesn't feel right to not. I just watched 5 Jurassic Park movies and watched several seasons of an animated. Anyways, I am 15 minutes in, so let's get to the whips. Alright, so in May, let's see, I didn't plan this very well. Okay, so one of the goals I had set for May, or actually, backtrack, in May was Mania with fandom, and so they wanted you to do either a single new start for 14 or 24 days, or do 14 or 24 new starts. And Sal's counted as multiple. So what I did was the the Disney the Disney Sal, that fandom, the pattern that fandom chose to do as the year's Disney Sal, I chose the villains, and I call this Disney Chibi Villains, but I don't know if it has an actual name, but you can get it on Etsy. So this is well, let's do this. This is Disney Chibi Villains from Etsy, and I'm doing this on 18 count 1/1. Here's my progress. So so what I was doing, I can't see. Let me put this down. I was trying to balance that in my lap. Let me get my light pad too. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I had 4 characters already. Okay. I had these 2 4, and that was the only thing I had done prior to May. So what I did was 200 stitches on each character, all the other characters, 200 stitches every day for 14 days. Now, if you, there's more than 14, I don't know if you can tell, there is more than 14, but I only did it for the 14-day challenge. There is only 2 characters that I'm missing because those characters are less than 200 stitches. So if I would have done them, I would have completed them. But so if I had followed through and did more than the 14, I would have had to start 7. I still would have had to do 7 new starts. And I didn't feel like doing 7 new starts just because it was Mania. I want to do new starts if a whip calls to me, then I want to do a new start. But otherwise, I didn't want to do that. So I think these 3 up here didn't count towards the 14 days. And the reason why I did that was for the continuity. Is that the right word? So there's 200 on everything except for those 2 those 2 characters. And then I figured for the finish event, which was supposed to be in June, but now it got moved to July. For the finish event, then every one of these characters, when I finish them, will count as a finish. So I will have, and I think it's like 50 points each. So I'll get a lot of points for finishing this in July. Oh, and I didn't say Disney. I put in 2,663 stitches. Okay, next. I'm going to show you is Arcana Sal. This is from Uncanny Kari's Patreon. I had started it in October, and then the final release I think was in March or April. But I'm doing this 2/1 on 18 count, and I'm using kind of the call for. It's a blend of black and a blue. I don't know what the called for DMC blue is, but from my stash, I grabbed some unlabeled, I'm trying to get it so that maybe you could see the variegation of it. Anyways, I tried to match it the best I could from what I had in stash. I don't know if these will qualify for the finishes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if this pattern will work for the finishes in July, and if not, I still want to finish it because it's only like 2,000 stitches away from being done. So I only did 539 stitches since the last time I picked it up. But it was, like I said, it was just the border of, it was just these borders, and then actually these stars on the side right here. Those are new. Okay. And then this is another sow. It was one of my goals for May to get it similar to the Arcana sow. I wanted to get it all caught up so that I could use it as a for finishes. This is Supernatural Sow from the Witchy Stitcher. And I did all the frames. I got all the frames done. All the little even the little colored bits, and then I put all the names on. So now all I have to do is the creatures on each, and each of them will be a finish. And this one's going to take a little bit longer than the other two. So my intention is to finish those other two first, and then if I don't get around to this, then I could do each of these as individually as a finish each month for the monthly finish challenge. But Supernatural, I picked this up 3 times in May, and I put in 2,105 stitches. After I finished I use Notions now, or I started using Notions in March. It still said that I had 10,000 stitches remaining on this, and I figured that's not possible. And that makes no sense. So I went and did some digging around and realized that when I inputted the stitches on this in Notions, that I missed a whole year of stitches. So I missed like 5,000 stitches on it. I missed inputting like 5,000 stitches that I put into it in 2022, which is when this was originally released. 2022, I only inputted what I had worked on in 2023. So yeah, that was a lot better. So now it's like 5,000 and something left till it's completely finished. And what was my and? Oh, and percentage-wise of all my whips on Notions, this is the closest to being done percentage-wise. I think it's at like 64% or something, like, or 68, something like that. So it is the closest to a finish percentage-wise. Okay, next we're gonna do Spring's Promise, which is a pattern from Mislaid Pages, part of their Burr Box 2023. And I'm doing this on a fabric that that I bought from Mislaid Pages. In fact, I got all my project cards. So and it's 32 count Lugana. I was gonna say Laguna. 32 count Lugana, and I'm doing this 2/2, and it's the only whip I have that's on the it's the only whip I have that's on a high count, and high as in over 25, and it's the only whip that I'm doing over 2. So I put in a whopping 92 stitches. So all I did was this top. I started this border up here. This is one of the first whips that I picked up for when I was attempting to do one whip per movie. So I put in 92 stitches during one of the Disney movies. Now, it was probably, I think it was Pocahontas, actually. So I was really concerned about counting. But I think I've spent so much time on 25 count since I started this that it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Because when I started this originally, just trying to count the gaps between, making sure that the gap between these two swans worked, or that they were the right distance, stressed me out a lot. So yeah, I was really concerned about having to count up from one of these swans to get the border started, but it wasn't that bad. And so this is the quickest to a finish right now, with only 1,500 stitches left. So of all my whips, this needs the least amount of stitches to be finished. So that's definitely going to be on my to-do either this month or next month. I'm not going to do everything. I'm not going to restrict myself to only doing finishes in July. Okay, the next whip I'm going to show you is also a whip that I had only worked on during one movie, and that is Well Suited. Well Suited is from Ink Circles, and I'm doing this on 18 count 2/1 with mostly called for. So I put in, Well Suited, 150 stitches. I put in 150 stitches. So this black is Black Sea from what is that? It starts with a V. I want to say Vivaldi, but I don't think that's it. Anyways, it was the called for black for this pattern. And I would have gotten the red that was called for, but it was out of stock. Anyways, I finally realized when I worked on it this last time, maybe the lighting was just good, but this isn't actually black. There was one time I looked at it and I could see it had variegation, but it was very faint variegation. And then there was one time I worked on it and I didn't see any variegation at all. And then this last time I finally saw the variegation and realized it's not even black. It's a gray and a blue. Tell me if I'm wrong, because obviously I keep seeing something different every time I work on it. But I feel like that it's actually a really dark gray and a blue variegation. But I don't care about it, so I'm actually not being very, because I didn't see that it had any variegation one time. It's more of a blend, variegation blend now. Next up is Pokemon type chart, which is by from Pufferfish. You can find it on Etsy. This is, I'm doing it on 18 count 2/1. And this is a big one. I don't think I could use that, because I got to show you the whole thing. I put in, okay, so I worked on it 3 times and I put in 1,763 stitches. I finished boxing it off. It's all boxed up now. Okay. And my intention is to start over here. My intention is to do one box and then do a line down, and then do the nut box next to it, and then do a line across. Now I took my time. I counted these so many times. This is not a gridded fabric. It's just white. So I had to count so much, and I got counted. I got sick of doing all the counting, so it got put down for a while. And then I decided just to tough it out and finish boxing it up. So I'm going to start, like I said, I'm going to start on the inside and just kind of spread my way out, just to make sure that all those, that even though I counted each little space 1,000,000 times each, I'm going to start from the inside and work my way out. So if I need to make adjustments, I can make it on the outside. But after I finished this in May, after finishing this one, I think there was like a week left in May, and I felt really accomplished after finishing this, to where I thought, I'm done cross stitching for the month. I felt good, and I could finish cross stitching for the month, and that I would work on something else, diamond painting, or spend some more time playing a video game. That was short lived. I think I only took like a day or two break. But that's also why I thought that I was actually going to be on time to record this video back a week or two ago. Next, I'm going to show you is Stained Glass Dragon. Okay, so this is a stamped cross stitch. And it was one of my original focus projects for the month, or for the year. Sorry, not for a month, for the year. I had this idea that I would, that I would break it up and just have it done by the years, when the year's over. So anyways, first Okay, this section right here, okay? I just folded in all the loose strands. This was my first go at doing parked threads, and I don't like it. I don't like it. So so this little snappy, it's got some black on it right now. That black is going to go here also. But yeah, I did 150 stitches. I did it on one of the movies, and then I put it down. Anyways, so what I was gonna say is that this, I had intended on having this be my main focus project for the year. That was before I knew about the Hade sale, and it was before I purchased some other full coverage projects. So this has gotten neglected, but I did do the math, and it's still possible to have this done. It's not. I think if I did like 3,000 a month, I could still get this done before the year's over. Maybe. I don't remember. I don't have, that's just off of memory. I'm pretty sure all I know, I don't know exactly the numbers, but I do know that I did the math, and this could be completed if I wanted to. Next is No Time Like the Present, which is this year's Modern Folk Embroidery 2024 sale. I picked this one up. I picked this one up 4 times. Originally, I picked it up once at the beginning of the month for a movie. I put in a crazy 150 stitches, and then I put it down, and I had no intention on picking it up again. I lost interest. Like, I went through some phases throughout May, and then at the end of the May, late in the month, probably during the last week or so, I did get a burst of motivation to work on it. So this, I put in 3,306 stitches. So where was I? I had gotten the outline of this moon, and then I had like a straight line going down. So it was like this. It looked like that. And then see where this green, it stops right here? Anything green on that line and under, I did that. So everything, so all this green, and then all of this blue. The rest of this blue was already here, but this clock's half circle, and then all the green that's under this line right here. So blue and green, I love these colors together. These are my default colors. They're just naturally my default colors. But somebody was talking about how hard it is to get the grid off of these, and so I started losing motivation to work on it because there's going to be a lot of white showing through this, and I don't want the grid to be visible. And then there's a couple more people that I seen that were doing different color. I mean, obviously everybody's going to do what they want, but when I seen these other people's color choices, I felt like, why didn't I think of that? So I did get a little bummed, I guess, of what I was doing, and then I didn't I think I spent like 2 weeks just avoiding it, right? So, but then I decided, you know what? I already started it. I love those colors. We'll just cross our fingers that the grid comes out. uh, and that was one that I purchased back when I got the stained glass dragon. So I already knew that it was going to be one of my focus pieces for the year. I thought that stained glass dragon and Lost Soul, those were going to be my only 3 large projects for the year at that time. But then Haid announced their 2024 sale, and that's what I will talk about next. Oh, the Modern Folk, it's a 18 count, and it's 1/1, 1/1 on 18 count. So the Haid's out. I am doing the Mary Mushroom 2, and I picked this one up. I was like, I didn't pick it up 2 times. That's Mary Mushroom number 2. Stupid. Okay, I picked this one up 7 times in May. I got a burst of energy to work on it the early half of the month, and then at the end of the month. This is what I was working on May 31st, and I had to stop myself from working on it as soon as it hit midnight. Then it's officially June, and I didn't want my totals. I'm very particular about keeping my totals separate. So even though today is June, so I think I said earlier, today is June 5th, and I have not touched any of these whips that I'm showing you now. I made sure to touch other things. So, like I said, I picked it up 7 times, and I put in 7,738 stitches. If I do this, can you see through it? No. I keep putting the thing behind it because I think that you'll see all the strings, the floss running through the back, and it'll be distracting. So, yeah, 7,738 tent stitches. I'm doing this 2/1 tent on 20 count. 20 count? Yeah, 20 count. So, at the beginning of the month, when I was still in my Star Wars phase, I focused on this instead of a new start. And I'll talk about that later. I focused on this originally, and I thought I would do, actually, I'm probably going to get my facts wrong. Anyways, the first thing I did was complete the entire top of this mushroom. At the beginning of the beginning-ish of May, I did the entirety of this mushroom. I really hate doing the ecru and the light colors, the really pale colors. That drove me crazy, so I wanted to make sure this was completely done up here. I know that there's going to be more, but the entirety of this mushroom is done. Then, at the end of the month, when I picked it back up again, I started working on the tree, and I focused on colors that was dense, things that what there was the most of. So yeah, I wanted to get as much as kind of like color completing, but not doing anything below this line. I want to wait and then move it. I don't want to I don't want to waste my time doing stuff that's underneath here when and I want to finish all of this first. So I am 53% done with, and 53% done with what's currently released. I think I'm at like 35% of the total overall image. Even though that was the last thing I touched, I still have 2 more whips I gotta show you. Kind of doing things a little bit out of order today. Alright. So, the next thing I'm going to show you is Lost Soul. Lost Soul is by Selena Fennick, and it is a retired chart from Haid. Recently retired. This I started for my birthday this past February. I am doing it on 25 count, and I'm doing it 1/1 full cross. And I only picked this up twice, and I think it was the first thing I picked up after I filmed my last video. So I only put in 879 stitches. I was still focusing on getting this all, this section, I was focusing on filling in as much as possible on the first page. Without having to pull, like, I think the page, like before I had said, I think the page ends right here. So even though there's still all these here, if I pick one of those, then I'm going to keep extending down, and I want to start moving to the right. So I think I'm done. I think I'm going to stop here and then start filling in what's the middle section. So this is the width of it, and this is going to be pretty much mirrored on this side as well. So I want to start working on the sky that's in between. So I started this in February, and I picked it up every month. Some months I put in more than others. I don't have my total amount of times I picked this up since February, but I'm at 4.4% complete on this. I don't usually give percentages, but there's a reason why I am right now, and that has to do with the next whip I'm going to show you, which is a new start. So I said in May I acquired quite a bit of patterns, both in May and in April, digital patterns, but early on in May, I made sure that they were all kitted up or ready to start. There was 4 projects that I have the fabric, and I have lots of 310. So I could start them, but then I would still have to purchase the colors later on. But they're still in my ready to start pile. So in my ready to start pile in May, I had 12 ready to starts. So I could have done the 24 days of new starts, but like I said, I want to wait for something that is calling to me. And the first thing that was really calling to me, I had to pull myself back because I needed to there was a whip. I didn't start it in May. That's not what I'm going to show you. But there was a pattern that that was calling to me so hard, but I hadn't cut the fabric. I hadn't serged the fabric. I hadn't marked the fabric. I hadn't, um, I hadn't, made these cards. I didn't make my project bags, so I was trying to pull myself in and wait until it was ready to I had all of the elements ready to start it. So that's why I spent so much time on other things. But that being said, when was this? On May 19th, I started a new start. And it is Treasures by Ines Guerrero, from Thread Geeks. I'm doing this on 25 count, 2/1 tent, and I put in, oh wait, Treasures, I worked on it for 5 days in May, and I put in I write too small sometimes. Okay. I picked it up 5 times in May, and I put in 8,029 stitches. I was flying. And I didn't want to put it down. So, 62 of those, 62 of the stitches on this was just black. 62, and I said it's 82. So 2,000 stitches are not black. They're shades of gray and other colors. It all looks black and gray though in here. I feel like there was some purplish colors in there, but it's hard to see. Anyways, so let me open this up real quick. So this is the fabric. Ooh, blowing out. Okay, do you see those little marks? I wanted to do, I marked where the pages are so that it's easier so that I know where the pages, how big the pages are. And I did that for several, I don't even know how many whips. I didn't write this down, but I did this for all of the new starts that I had that I kitted up in May. So there was like 6, I think, six whips that I am going to do on 25 count, and I cut them up, I serged them, and then I marked off all the page breaks so that I could do color complete or extreme cross country. Oh, so I wanted to do her face. I wanted to do her face first. So I started in the center, which is this blue mark right here. That was the center of the pattern, and I thought I will start in the center, and then I will frame her face up, and then I will fill in her face. However, I enjoyed all the blacks, all the 310 stitching. Just all the 310 stitching was so amazingly satisfying and relaxing that I didn't want to stop. It was difficult for me to stop. I think that was it. It was difficult for me to stop, and then when I went to go do the face, I was surprised at how much confetti it was. So I ended up doing more of the hair fill-in than I did of the face. I didn't even get around to any of the skin color. And this is her arm. So it's all, like I said, it was all grays, and there's a couple of, like, maybe 815 or something like that. There's a couple of dark red or purples in there. But so where is it? So this, after only spending 5 days working on it, I'm already at 9.8%. 5 days, 9.8%. And Lost Soul, which I put in several days, is only at 4%. This has a lot of black in it, and I'm going to fly through that black, but it also has an insane amount of confetti. And it's like when you're on, if you use Pattern Keeper and you select a color and it shows it where it is on the pattern or on the chart, you click on a color and it literally just looks like somebody threw confetti on the screen. There are several colors like that. So even though I flew through this, I know I'll fly through all the other black, but when I hit that confetti, I know that I'm going to slow down. I'm not going to be able to maintain that speed. Oh, the other thing about this, I had made these cards. I had made the cards. There's a couple of them. They're not connected right now. The only one I used was the black. I used some black. Well, some. I did. This was a full skein of black. But I used most. I wanted to see how many stitches I could get out of this. Like I said, it was like 6,200 so far, and I still have a little bit left because I wanted to see how far a black, or how far a skein will stretch for me. Anyways, oh, so this is the floss. This is all the floss for her, and I was being lazy and I didn't feel like touching this, so all the other stitches that I did on that, all the 2,000 stitches that I did on that thing, or on that thing, all the 2,000 stitches I did that weren't 310, I pulled from Lost Soul, because why open a skein if it's already on floss cards and ready to go? Okay. So, I think the only other thing that I was going to mention, which I kind of already went over a little bit, is that all my 3-year-long focus projects, Stained Glass Dragon, Modern Folk Embroideries, and the Haid Sow, I'm severely behind I'm severely behind, or I had been severely behind, I guess I could say. But I had done the math a week ago, so I don't have it written down. And I definitely could catch up. I could definitely catch up before the year's over if I continue to put some time into it. But like, I think I'm a month behind. I feel like that's all I'm at right now. I'm 1 month behind, so if I can make up that 1 month throughout the rest of the year, then I could have all of those done. But if I don't make up the month, it's just going to make it more and more difficult to finish. But I'm not. At this time, the Haid Sow, all I would like is that top row finish. That's my only goal right now, is to have that top page, the whole top, this whole top finished. That's my first goal. Then after that, I will decide how much of the rest of the chart I want to have completed. It would be nice to have that done before the next section is released next month, but I don't think that I will, but who knows. So June plans, oh yeah, I didn't write anything down for June plans. So I'm not going to pull any, I'm not going to spin any for any whips. I already explained what my finish goals are for the SALs, the 3 SALs. But that isn't until July. So my stitching goal for June is stitch on what I want to stitch on. That's the only goal I'm going to have for myself for the month of June. Stitch on what I want to stitch on, what's calling to me. Other than that, I want to spend more time playing video games. The Star Wars, Genshin Impact. And then I want to spend some time diamond painting. I have a whole bunch of appointments booked, scheduled through the summer. So I'm going to be, I'm actually concerned about how many appointments I've got something booked like every week. So and I have a lot of stuff to do. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I've got a lot of stuff on my plate. And I just I want to focus on those things, and then diamond painting and video games, and then just stitch when something's calling to me. I don't want to set any stitch count goals because I need to focus my time on other places, because there's things that I've been putting off. And I think I said this last month. I've been putting things off, and I needed to do them. And then May's over, and I put in a record number of stitches and didn't do what I wanted to do. So that's everything for today. And I'm appreciate it for any of you that have stuck around to the end. And I will see you all next month. Bye.